made this observation. Once the reality of absolutes is denied, in other words, the reality of an absolute is that which is true for all people, for all places, for all times. Once that is denied, all arguments, all human relationships are nothing more than the exercise of power. I said to my son Sean, who is now 18, he was 17 when he graduated last year. We were out to breakfast, and I said, son, is there any absolute they've taught you at Julian High School here? Just any one thing that is true for all people, for all places, for all times? And he immediately said, yes. I said, what is it? He said, tolerance. I said, son, have they taught you to be tolerant of the intolerant? He said, no. Then I said, son, it's not an absolute. I said, what they have done, they've taught you to be tolerant of the tolerant and giving you permission to be intolerant of the intolerant. And every man does what is right in their own eyes. It doesn't say every man does what is right. It says every man does what is right in their own eyes. In Alan Bloom's book, The Closing of the American Mind, Alan Bloom, who has a tremendous insight in higher education in America and respected for it, in the opening chapter of his book, he writes this: there is one thing a professor can be absolutely certain of. Almost every single student entering the university believes that all truth is relative. Before they even get to the university does not, for the most part, instill this in young people. They only reinforce it. In the words of the national youth leaders, I want to put it in their words, verbatim. Our church kids, this is an evangelical church, our church kids no longer believe in biblical moral absolutes. Let me repeat that. Our church kids no longer believe in biblical moral absolutes. And then they rephrase it, that our young people lack belief in an objective standard of truth, that there's any standard outside of themselves that shows them how they ought to live. Here's what our kids believe about truth.
You mean absolute truth? No, I don't think so.
Do you realize what that means? Do you realize what this means in the lives of our kids? That 57% of our church kids say there's no objective standard of truth.
Well, I think God knows the answer. I mean, he knows the truth. I mean, I'm a Christian and all, but I just don't think that we'll ever know the truth.
And everyone did what was right in their own eyes. 85% of our youth reason, just because it's wrong for you in the same situation doesn't mean it's wrong for me. 85%. You know, it's more than just teaching what's right and wrong. We must teach why things are right, why things are wrong.